Lives at the Cosmopolis, too. Very convenient. Well, so long. See you later." Archie, left alone, began for the first time to have serious doubts. He had allowed himself to be swayed by Mr. Sheriff's magnetic personality, but now that the other had removed himself, he began to wonder if he had been entirely wise to lend his sympathy and cooperation to the scheme. He had never had intimate dealings with a snake before, but he had kept silkworms as a child, and there had been the deuce of a lot of fuss and unpleasantness over them. Getting into the salad and what not. Something seemed to tell him that he was asking for trouble with a loud voice, but he had given his word, and he supposed he would have to go through with it. He lit another cigarette and wandered out into Fifth Avenue. His usual smooth brow was ruffled with care. Despite the eulogies which Sheriff had uttered concerning Peter, he found his doubts increasing. Peter might, as the press agent had stated, be a great scout, but was his the little Garden of Eden on the 5th floor of the Cosmopolis Hotel likely to be improved by the advent of even the most amiable and winsome of serpents? However— "Moom, my dear fellow!" The voice, speaking suddenly in his ear from behind, roused Archie from his reflections. Indeed, it roused him so effectually that he jumped a clear inch off the ground and bit his tongue. Revolving on his axis, he found himself confronting a middle-aged man with a face like a horse. The man was dressed in something of an old-world style. His clothes had an English cut. He had a drooping grey moustache. He also wore a grey bowler hat flattened at the crown. But who are we to judge him? "Archie Moom, I've been trying to find you all the morning." Archie had placed him now. He had not seen General Manister for several years. Not, indeed, since the days when he used to meet him at the home of young Lord Seacliff, his nephew. Archie had been at Eton and Oxford with Seacliff, and had often visited him in the long vacation. "Hello, General. What ho, what ho! What on earth are you doing over here?" "Let's get out of this crush, my boy." General Manister steered Archie into a side street. "That's better." He cleared his throat once or twice, as if embarrassed. "I've brought Seacliff over," he said finally. "Dear old Squiffy, here? Oh, I say, great work." General Manister did not seem to share his enthusiasm. He looked like a horse with a secret sorrow. He coughed 3 times, like a horse who, in addition to a secret sorrow, had contracted asthma. "You will find Seacliff changed," he said. "Let me see, how long is it since you and he met?" Archie reflected. "I was demobbed just about a year ago. I saw him in Paris about a year before that. The old egg got a bit of shrapnel in his foot or something, didn't he? Anyhow, I remember he was sent home." "His foot is perfectly well again now, but unfortunately the enforced inaction led to disastrous results. You recollect, no doubt, that Seacliff always had a tendency, a weakness. It was a family failing." "Mopping it up, do you mean? Shifting it? Looking on the jolly old stuff when it was red and what not, what?" "Exactly." Archie nodded. "Dear old Squiffy was always rather a lad for the wassail bowl. When I met him in Paris, I remember, he was quite tolerably blotto." "Precisely. And the failing has, I regret to say, grown on him since he returned from the war. My poor sister was extremely worried. In fact, to cut a long story short, I induced him to accompany me to America. I am attached to the British legation in Washington now, you know." "Oh, really?" "I wished Seacliff to come with me to Washington,
but he insists on remaining in New York. He stated specifically that the thought of living in Washington gave him what was the expression he used?"
"The pip?"
"The pip, precisely."
"But what was the idea of bringing him to America?"
"This admirable prohibition enactment has rendered America, to my mind, the ideal place for a young man of his views."
The General looked at his watch.
"It is most fortunate that I happen to run into you, my dear fellow. My train for Washington leaves in another hour, and I have packing to do. I want to leave poor Seacliff in your charge while I am gone."
"Oh, I say, what?"
"You can look after him. I am credibly informed that even now there are places in New York where a determined young man may obtain the stuff, and I should be infinitely obliged, and my poor sister would be infinitely grateful, if you would keep an eye on him."
He hailed a taxicab.
"I am sending Seacliff round to the Cosmopolis tonight. I am sure you will do everything you can. Good-bye, my boy, good-bye."
Archie continued his walk. This, he felt, was beginning to be a bit thick. He smiled a bitter, mirthless smile as he recalled the fact that less than half an hour had elapsed since he had expressed a regret that he did not belong to the ranks of those who do things. Fate, since then, had certainly supplied him with jobs with a lavish hand. By bedtime he would be an active accomplice to a theft, valet and companion to a snake he had never met, and, as far as could gather the scope of his duties, a combination of nursemaid and private detective to dear old Squiffy. It was past 4 o'clock when he returned to the Cosmopolis. Roscoe Sheriff was pacing the lobby of the hotel nervously, carrying a small handbag.
"Here you are at last. Good heavens, man, I've been waiting 2 hours."
"Sorry, old bean. I was musing a bit and lost track of the time."
The press agent looked cautiously round. There was nobody within earshot.
"Here he is," he said.
"Who?"
"Peter."
"Where?" said Archie, staring blankly.
"In this bag. Did you expect to find him strolling arm in arm with me around the lobby? Here you are, take him."
He was gone, and Archie, holding the bag, made his way to the lift. The bag squirmed gently in his grip. The only other occupant of the lift was a striking-looking woman of foreign appearance, dressed in a way that made Archie feel that she must be somebody, or she couldn't look like that. Her face, too, seemed vaguely familiar. She entered the lift at the second floor, where the tea-room is, and she had the contented expression of one who'd had tea to her satisfaction. She got off at the same floor as Archie, and walked swiftly, in a lithe, pantherist way, round the bend in the corridor. Archie followed more slowly. When he reached the door of his room, the passage was empty. He inserted the key in his door, turned it, pushed the door open, and pocketed the key. He was about to enter when the bag again squirmed gently in his grip. From the days of Pandora, through the epoch of Bluebeard's wife, down to the present time, one of the chief failings of humanity has been the disposition to open things that were better closed. It would have been simple for Archie to have taken another step and put a door between himself and the world, but there came to him the irresistible desire to peep into the bag now. Not 3 seconds later, but now. All the way up in the lift he had been battling with the temptation, and now he succumbed. The bag was one of those simple bags with a thingummy which you press. Archie pressed it, and as it opened, out popped the head of Peter. His eyes met Archie's. Over his head there seemed to be an invisible mark of interrogation.